What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Round 5 AFLW Game Day Squad Show, brought to you by AFL Fanatics and Game Day Society. I'm joined here again by Bales. Bales, how's your week been?
Yeah, not too bad. Licking my wounds after last Thursday night with the Crows men's
Yeah.
going down. Was looking pretty keen towards that, but I don't know. I guess I'm feeling slightly better ahead of this Friday. I don't know. I just had a feeling all last week. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling. Whereas week, I feel a little bit better. So I'm hoping that can turn into a good result for the Crows. And then the AFLW team went down. I went to that. I went in attendance that game as well, and Crows women's being up by 3 goals at three-quarter time, and we were scoreless in that last quarter, and
Mm.
Brisbane did all the scoring. I thought they got a couple of free kicks towards the goal that I thought were a little bit dubious, but we're not here to talk about umpiring decisions. We're here to talk about
Yeah.
game day scoring. But how was your weekend?
Yeah, it was not bad in terms of the AFLW side, and we'll probably just run through the rankings now, but I had quite a good week this week. Do you want me to start with our rankings from the week, or?
Yeah, you go ahead, mate. You I had a good
Yeah.
one, mate. So you start off, and I'll go second.
Yeah. So in start, I came 19th, which I don't normally do that great in. Well, I've been going okay, but I've kind of dropped off a bit lately. So 19th in starter, but first in classic. So I'm very happy about that result. Um, 2,944 points, which is more than my contender point team scored, which is crazy because I had a bunch of all stars and high salary cap players in there.
Yeah, I'm not.
18th
I'm
in challenger and 6th in champ. So pretty decent week all round for the AFLW. How
yeah.
did you go?
I'm not happy that you got first in classic because you overtook me. I was second, you were third. Now we've flipped.
Mhm.
Now I'm third, you're second.
Yep.
So yeah, but no, not too bad. Came third in starter for the week, which was good. So what was that? 64 points behind first, not too far away. In classic, still had a solid week. Came seventh. Was just about what 90 or 91 points behind yourself up in first. Challenger, we came 16th, and then champion, which is just pretty much the rest of whatever platinums that I've got, came 22nd. I had a zero in there as well, so mine have come top 20 if I forgot that if I put in someone other than Katie Brenner, which I forgot to change before that
Oh
game
yeah.
started. But no, it's good. Like right, so like starter, I think I'm second overall for the season now. So like that looks pretty good there at least. What's that? 55 points behind first. Classic,
Mhm.
obviously, behind you, but not too much separating the top three, really. Me, you, and then Skippers, who's currently in first, 20 points ahead of you, and
Yeah.
I'm 55 points behind. So 55 points in both starter and classic is interesting. And then, yeah, the other over rankings, I'm not really too close to either. So, yeah, hopefully we get something in starter or classic.
Yeah, very nice. So we'll jump into it. As we always do, I like to start off with our kind of takes from the round or what we learnt from the round. And there's a few things which kind of came up, which kind of burnt me a little bit, but I still managed to come out. So the first thing is Watson holds her place with a solid score. I think the week before last, she'd had a bit of an average turnout, but last week she looked good, scored good. I think she's pretty much a lock now for the rest of the season unless something changes. Um, Funnily enough, though, I dropped her in my classic side and
Mm,
still managed to get up. So hate
yeah,
to
I,
think where I could be if I had stuck with. I think last week in the show I said I was going to give her my last chance, and then I didn't give her that chance. But anyway, she's back.
yeah,
Um,
no, just with that one, I funny enough, the week before, if anyone remembers watching the show, in my defence, I had Serene Watson and Chelsea Randall. Who did I take out last week? Serene Watson and Chelsea Randall, and they both turned up. So that was a slightly annoying, but I did have Serene in Challenger still, so I was still fairly happy with her big score as on a platinum there. So no, she's back to some good form.
hmm Next one I've got here, I think Hawes just back to her best. She's
Her tackling was in,
basically,
her tackling was great. Like she
yeah,
laid 13, I think, but she could have easily had like 17, 18. That she was incredible.
yeah. So I think there's no doubt in whether we pick her in terms of working back to full fitness. I think we just have to play the matchups, but she's pretty much going to be high up on my list most weeks now, I think, based on what I saw last week.
Yep.
Don't know about you.
Yep, no, agreed.
Yeah. Next up, Nim McLaughlin. Now, she's one I've been high on all season, but I think everyone now needs to start her. I don't think there's much downside to her anymore. Her midfield minutes are high. She's looks good when she's in there. She looks like she's probably the best player, I think, on that Gold Coast side. Yeah. Is there any negatives that you can see or any concerns?
Flag, I wouldn't say concern or concerns or anything like that. But flag is that Charlie Rowbottom was listed as a test on the injury report. So I think she's played too well. I don't think they're going to move her out of the midfield anyway. It's just interesting if Rowbottom comes back. They've got Rowbottom, they've got Whitford, they've got Single. How's that all going to work? That's probably my only concern, but still, she's scoring solid enough anyway playing defence. Even if it's a 50-50 split defence midfield, I think we still be pretty happy with that. So just probably something I'll be watching if Rowbottom was to come back this week. But yeah, great. I'm starting her in my squads this week.
Yeah, and I think just Gold Coast as a whole looked a bit like it
They
had
good.
a lot
They
more
played well.
confidence in them. Yeah,
they obviously won the first game for the season. So yeah, they look good.
It's against GWS, who didn't look great, but still they turned up. They did everything you want, and they might not win many more games, but at least you can have the confidence that they're probably not going to get blown out of the park if they keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Now, this next point I'm actually interested to hear your take on, because I've probably got a bit more of a clearer picture with the rucks, but you sort of seem a bit more like the rucks aren't looking too clear for you.
Well, it's more that I don't think there's a clear 1-2 ruck to pick every week. So I think Strom is now moving out to, for me anyway, more
Clear
of a
number
clear
one.
R1.
Yeah.
Like, she's always been R1, but I've kind of, if the matchup wasn't good and there were two quality rucks, I wasn't against dropping her previously. But now I think regardless of the matchup, unless there's any like injury concerns or anything like that, she's just going to sit in that R1 spot for me for the rest of the year.
Yep.
What I'm now not super clear on is Lucy Wales. She's done all right, but I just don't know if that ceiling's there that some of the other rucks might have. I don't know what you think on that.
Yeah, with Ellie Simmons playing the side, it's just really sort of capping her ceiling, which is what we want to gain a score, right? We want those ceiling scores. And particularly this week, I'm fading her. She's a fade for me. She's got the Crows.
Yep.
It's a tough matchup. We'll obviously chat about all the matchups very shortly. But yeah, for me, I'm fading this week. There's some other rucks have got some decent matchups. And I think that Wales is someone that I wouldn't be looking at this week.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat, but we'll get there eventually. The last point there is Nesgowan. She should be.
We put her on our pod list last week.
Yeah,
no, it's not a pod anymore. I didn't play her, which I think you end up still playing her, but I didn't end up putting her in, which I'm disappointed I didn't put her there. But I think the midfield in general still scored all right.
Yeah, like she's not someone that you have to have necessarily, I don't think, but she's someone who should be in the mix of players you're picking from.
The mid that you want, right? She's not going to get the tag, and she does everything else. She marks, she tackles, she gets the ball. Like, it's a bit. I referenced Josh Dunkley in the last show. Like, she reminds me of that. Like, she's never going to get the tag. She's probably going to be someone that maybe goes to someone, not tagging per se, but stands next to a player to try and keep them accountable. And she's scoring great.
And the fact that she can tackle means that that's a win anyway, because that's just some +4s all over the place.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, apart from that, did you have any other takes, conventional, controversial, anything like that?
No, I don't think so. I think you get stuck straight in the games, I reckon. I think probably go for a couple of those points there. Yeah,
love that. All right, so we'll jump into the first game of the round, which is Collingwood versus Sydney.
Now we need to start off. You finally had Laura Gardner in for a good score. So
I did, and now I'm hooked. If you guys haven't been following at home, I basically have rarely played Laura Gardner since she became a midfielder.
Yeah, rounds 1 and 3 you played, I reckon, and she put up or rounds 3. No, sorry, you didn't play round 1, but
I literally
round 2.
Yeah, literally only first game of the season I've played her was last week.
Yeah.
Terrible score. Well, for a midfielder, terrible score.
Yeah. So from
And
round two, had that massive score. You're like, crap, I didn't put her in. Now I'm going to put her in. And
yeah,
she has a poor score. You're like, crap, I should take her out, but I'm going to leave her in. And then she
yeah,
repaid you by sticking by her and put up a massive score.
yeah. And when I say I've not really played her that much, I also mean last season I rarely played her, which was not a good tactical decision, but it was just one of those things where I think I didn't have the right card combination to get her in the side, so I just kind of left her out and forgot about her and just tried to ignore the fact that I was probably making a bad decision. But I assume this is a must-play week for Gardner coming up against Collingwood. The
Yeah.
numbers aren't the best against Collingwood, surprisingly. They go -3 on the average for the comp for a midfielder, but you're still going to play it, right?
100%. Like you look back to last week, Ash Riddell still had a pretty good score, right? So I'm not too concerned. Riddell and Gardner are very similar in how they
Mhm.
go about it. I think there are 4 Sydney locks. I think you've got to start all 4. That being Laura Gardner, Chloe Malloy,
Mhm.
Montana Ham, and I think Ali Morfitt's a lock this week.
Yeah.
Imogen Barnett being the ruck. I think Morfitt will dominate in the ruck. She's been great all year. I think this is a great spot, particularly with Lucy Wells, as we mentioned, tough matchup. Morfitt,
Yeah.
great matchup. I think it's between Morfitt and another ruck, which we'll chat about for me this week that I'm playing. I think there's probably 3 for R2 that
Mhm.
you could realistically play, but I think there's 2 that I do like this week, and Morfitt's one of them. So she's currently in my squad and someone that I think I'm very keen on what she'll do this week.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there, the 4 locks. So, I mean, since round 1, Morfitt's not gone below 97, and hit like a 140 score as well. So, that ceiling's there, but also the floor
Yeah.
seems to be there too. So it kind of seems like a no-brainer now that she's probably fit, confident with the body, ready to go.
What about Barnett
Um,
for you? Barnett for you, you starting it? Because the forwards, again, there's still a few forwards with good matchups, and she's one of the ones that you could start or not.
yeah, I think I am at this point because last week she had a bit of a tricky matchup and still did all right. So for me, that's a bit of reassurance. So even though she had a tough matchup, still went 82, which for a forward I'm more than happy with.
Yeah.
So at this stage, I think she's well, I would say keeping a spot, but she's the first time she's coming into the squad. So um, yeah, I think. What about you?
Yeah, I've got her in there. Yep, I'm starting her. I think the photo I sent you, I didn't have her in, but I did end up changing her back in.
Yeah,
But yeah, I just think the role security of being the ruck and even in tough matchups still had a pretty good score. I think that she's a fairly safe playing the forward line. So yeah, I'm starting her.
yeah. Anyone else from Collingwood? I feel like we go through this every round where we
Yeah,
try and stretch to justifying someone, but
like
I
Tony
don't
White
know.
had a big score last week, but is she? I think she's a mid in game day
Yeah,
squad,
she's
if
a
I'm not
mid,
mistaken. So yeah,
so
that's what I mean. That's the
yeah,
disappointing thing, right? She was defender.
yeah,
We'd be someone to talk about. Britt
yeah,
Benici, again, one of those mids, but Sydney's not a great matchup, as you can see with
yeah,
the red there. So I think this is probably a week that I'm not looking at starting.
yeah.
Any
And
Collingwood
also
players on
went
the Barnett?
Yeah, and Benici as well, concerningly, went 74 last week. So
Yeah.
shows that she doesn't necessarily have that flaw there that kind of protects you. Um, yeah, I think that's about it for Collingwood. Forgot to mention at the start, at the end of this show, we will be spinning the wheel one more time. Well, again, for one lucky winner. All you have to do to enter is jump into the chat of either of our channels. We've got Mel in there, I think, again, curating a list of anyone who chats, comments, anything. Just have to do it once before we finish talking about all the rounds. Then we'll lock it off, and at the very end of the show, we'll spin the wheel. And there's plenty of good prizes on there if it's your first time here. But let's go to the next one. Carlton Gold Coast. We talked about Gold Coast earlier, how they look okay now. McLaughlin, I think we said she's a lock for now, at least until we see what Rowbottom does to her. Even I'm happy to risk her when Rowbottom comes in for at least a round anyway, because we've seen what she can do with Rowbottom in the side. So it might not hit those 100, 120 scores, but still an 80 seems pretty safe.
Yeah.
The other Gold Coast player I've got there is Japai, up forward for Gold Coast. What are your thoughts on her?
Nah. I'm probably off a lot of the. I know that Gold Coast, as you said, they won last one, looked great, right? But they played, as you said, they played the Giants. Carlton are looking really good this year. I'm not trusting really anyone outside Neve McLaughlin. And if Rowbottom does show something when she comes back, maybe she's back in the good books again. But besides that, I don't think there's anyone I really want to start just because the volatility. Like that's the thing, right? I just think there's a lot of forwards that they've got good matchups or playing better teams that can put up better scores. So I just think Japai is probably capped a little bit there, and then the floor will be low just because of playing a Gold Coast side. I don't know if they're going to be consistent week to week, so I'm probably steering clear. But she had a good game last week.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think I rate her a little bit higher than you, but probably still. She has come into my side a couple of times this week, which is kind of concerning. But
by all means, right? If she's got a potential score in her, I just sort of wonder against Carlton what that's going to look like, because Carlton have certainly got a better defense than what Giants have got.
Yeah. Now, what about Carlton? I'm wondering this second ruck that you're teasing, would that be Bree Harrington?
No,
Really?
because I didn't play her last week. I faded her because when Madison Torpy came in, I thought that was the whole point of starting Bree Harrington last week was with Jess Good being out, her being the solo ruck, but they brought another ruck and she just played the same role. Like she played a little bit more ruck time than normal, but it was still a bit of a split, right? So she's not one of those rucks there. There are Carlton. It's funny because Carlton are that team that they're not a lot of players score really highly week to week. They just get it done. Like Dana Finn's been last 2 weeks been great, right? But can't advocate for starting her as a midfielder in game day squad just with the amount of mids that we've got. I'm struggling. I'm leaving out some absolute stars. And Dana Finn is certainly, her stock is rising for sure. If she was a defender like last year, there'd be that case. But I'm probably not looking there.
Yeah.
There's a few pods
not tempted by 140 and 134 the last 2 weeks. If that's not enough. Or is that like a
not as a winger
kind of situation?
Yeah, she's as a winger. I'm probably not looking there. There are a couple of Carlton pods I will chat about later on. We get to our pod section, but besides that, I'm not starting any of them. They're just pods that a few listeners might be able to look at.
No, back to Bree Harrington though. You said that she went back to the old role that she was doing. In that old role though, she went 102, 99, 102. So, like, even though she's a ruck, that's pretty consistent numbers for someone who's not necessarily rucking.
Yeah, as a ruck, I want the rucks to be the rucks. I want them to be number one, like Mimstrom, Ali Morfitt, like those type of rucks that are the number one and clear number one. I just think that the ceiling is capped. Like she'll be solid, Bree Harrington. I just think that I'm just worried that those single scores won't be there. And if you want to be winning the weekly prize and stuff, you got to get these ceiling scores.
No, that's fair. Now, one person I quickly want to touch on, and it was a very near miss for me last week, was I had Yasmin Dersma in my side up until about 5 minutes before the game, when luckily I managed to get a Heath card just because I didn't have one that I needed. That would have been devastating because she went off early, only scored 16 with an injury. Wouldn't advocate anyone start her ever, but it was just one of those things where I had a little bit of a feeling that it might have been a nice pod. But yeah, anyway, we'll move on because thankfully I dodged that bullet. Moving on to the next one, Port versus Melbourne. Few very tempting players in this matchup for me in that Melbourne midfield. Kate Hawes, probably the main go-to player most people will be looking at with that 140 last week. So definitely, in the realms of those premium midfields now. How have you seen Hanks kind of role since Hawes kind of transitioning back? do you think that she's slowly going to shift back to maybe a 110, 120 kind of scorer, or is she going to kind of sit up with those elite numbers again?
No, I think Hanks is fine. She's got the same role. Hawes pretty much just come in to replace Liv Purcell. So,
Yeah.
and then like Shelley Heath as well. So I'm not concerned. I think Tyler Hanks is still a very good option to be looking at. So I'd be looking there. I'm actually not as bullish on Kate Hoare this week as
Okay.
previously. We saw last week with Port Adelaide and West Coast, Maria Maloney went to Ella Roberts, and Ella Roberts plays very similar to Kate Hoare and kept Ella Roberts to a pretty quiet game. And Maria Maloney followed her around the ground. It was in the midfield, in defence, like when Ella Roberts went forward. I just think that's going to be a role Port are going to go with here. Kate Hoare's the number one target you're looking at Melbourne. If you try and shut them in the midfield, it's Kate Hoare. And I do worry that ceiling may be capped this week with some attention. Not saying that she will, because she might not get the attention right. They might just opt to not do it. I just sort of think if Port are a chance at getting this game, which I think Port are a little bit of a shout here. So that's just my worry. So, yeah, but Kate Hoare have still gotten a couple of squads, gotten like Challenger and that. But at the moment, Classic and Star, I don't think I've got her in at the moment.
Yeah. Sorry, just missed a question back on the Sydney game. I have an all-star Lucy Wales is all worth playing over Platt Morford this week in Classic.
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I would still be going Morford unless you kind of... No, in fact, I can't see any reason. I think, go for Morford if you've got the cap there.
Chuck the all-star Lucy Wales in like a challenger or a champion squad or something. One of the ones that you're not... you're just trying to stack as much as you can in there. Maybe chuck her there and put Morford in your main one.
Yeah, no, I agree. What about those Melbourne forwards? So we saw Zanka and Harris have pretty quiet weeks the last week or two. Against Port, can you see that jumping up again? Obviously, Zanka spends a bit more time in the middle, so might kind of benefit from that plus 15 average to midfielders. But what about like Harris?
Zanka's the one, if I'm playing one of them, I think I'm playing. Harris got the ceiling right, but Zanka's got the floor and has shown a bit more of a ceiling this year. Obviously not great score last week, but it was windy. Conditions weren't really suiting the key forwards. I'm actually tossing up Zanka versus another forward, which we'll chat about when we get to that game. But that's the decision I've got to make. Is it Zanka or this other forward there? But I think definitely both are plays for sure. And I do like both there. And just on the Port side, I want to get your thoughts on. So I think Ash Woodland still someone was starting, got a great role, had a good score last week. But Matilda Schultz won those rucks I was talking about. Not won the top couple. She was the third one that I'm looking at. So it's more for another ruck and then Schultz this week. Decent enough matchup against Melbourne, even though it says minus 16 there. I do think, though, this is a matchup where Matilda Schultz can go well. But then Ella Heads has been someone that's put up some decent scores. Bit of a low one last week, but you keen on any of those Port girls?
I'm keen on Woodland. I think she's probably in one of those lock forward positions for me now. Schultz, probably the same with you. She's probably sitting around that 3-4 position for me. And Head, I think, purely because I've been burnt a couple of times by her. I won't be considering her for a little bit. But in saying that, she'll probably do fine. What about you? Is Head a chance or?
So she's someone I looked at. I think I've got her in Challenger or something because I've got a platinum there. So just I'd take a punt there. But besides that, I think that I'm probably I think Woodland's about the only Port player I've got there at the moment. Finn McGuinness, good question. I think you can trust Zanka to bounce back. That was a lower score for the year. I think she'll bounce back and have a better game. Like she only kicked the one goal. She went off for the last 8 minutes with a HIA, which I don't know if you saw this, Mark. It was actually quite interesting. She was actually lining up in the CBA. The doctor came out and brought her off, and then the game was sort of stopped for 20 seconds. So she came off, and they put Shelley Heath from the bench into the midfield. So they actually saw something and brought her off, which I thought was interesting. They noticed something, and then she cleared all the tests and everything like that. So she's fine to play this week. But that capped that. It could have been a 60. Like she could have kicked the goal, could have been a 60, and then we're sitting here 60, 70 score, and we're sitting here talking and going, yeah, that's not too bad. But yeah, the 50 odd score is not what I want to see.
Yeah, no, true. There's one other person who I'm a little bit uh, interested in this week, and I
Is it
don't know if. Oh, sorry.
defender
It is a defender.
Melbourne?
Yep.
I've got it in my pod list, so
Oh, yeah.
looking
Yes. I think we might just have the same pod list
at
again.
and no, for anyone watching along, me and Mark, we do our own pod list. We don't actually tell each other what our pods are until when we get to it. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
So at least we're thinking along the same lines, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. So we'll chat about them when we
Yeah.
get to the pod list again.
Sweet. I think they might actually be in my side as well. So that's interesting.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Now, we'll jump on to the next one. We've got GWS and the Bulldogs. I am off the GWS forwards this week. So, Evans, Garnett,
Goldsworthy
those
as well.
guys. Oh,
Goldsworthy's
not Goldsworthy. Yeah, Goldsworthy's, yeah.
That's playing that midfield role still. So, but no,
I
agree though that probably the forwards, you're probably like Evans and that you're probably not start. I think I've got Evans in a challenger as well, squad, but it's probably about it. But on Dog's side though, because I want to start off with them. Alice Edmonds is the one I was talking about. This is a great matchup for Alice Edmonds. She's up against Elisha Dowden, Grace Kosh if she's still named. I think Edmonds is going to dominate the hit outs. Going to get she scored, was it 40 odd points in the first quarter against Hawthorn, having 0 touches. What she can do, she gets the ball this week against GWS. I think she could rack up. This is a real pod. I'm heavily considering her over. I said Morfitt was a lock, right? Because I think the matchup's great. But I'm also really heavily considering Alice Edmonds over Ali Morfitt this week with the matchup. Is there any temptation for you for Edmonds? Because I think the other dogs like Georgia Stathis, I think, is locked in our defenses. But Edmonds for you?
A lot of temptation. I think probably similar thoughts to you. Her and potentially Harrington. I think I see kind of the scoring potential for Harrington and Edmonds to be kind of similar, where they've got that kind of consistent 90 kind of floor. So Edmonds gone 102, 92, 92, 90 for the 4 games. So you can basically lock in that, she's going to go somewhere at least 80, but hopefully that 90 to, 140 or whatever. She was up there with, she the second highest average a couple of years ago, I think. Back when
not last year, the year before, a couple of years ago. Yeah, she was right up there. I'm probably not going to, I won't start her over Ali Morfitt, I don't think. I think Morfitt's got the ceiling, but Alice Edmonds, if you want to go for a pod in the ruck, she's someone that's got the matchup. It's all there for you to take the punt if you want to. And it's not really a punt, right? She's been a good option all year. She's solid, so I like it.
Yeah, one of those quiet achievers where it just kind of sits in the background. If you got that card and you've just been playing her all season, you'll be quite happy. I'm on it with you. Anyone else from that game? What about Cambridge McCormick?
Oh, good shout. Yep. It's funny, right? Because I feel like the defense, there's a lot of names that are there, and I don't have Cambridge McCormick in my side at the moment, but she's someone I'm definitely considering if I can fit her in somewhere. I think pretty much what I've done is Classic and Starter. I've got the players I want to start, but then in Challenger, where I don't have a few of those cards as a gold or platinum or whatever, I've put a few of these pods in. So like Cambridge McCormick is in my defense in this squad. I talked about Ella Heads before. There's a few of these players I don't have in other squads I've got in Challenger. So she's right in the mix for me. But yeah, I feel like I've got a few other defenders I want to start instead at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the same as me. Someone that's on my radar, if they're consistently hitting around that, what was it, last 2 weeks, 122, then 91. If that's a consistent, if there's that floor of 90, then it kind of becomes a much easier decision, especially with, sitting back for GWS, you're probably in a pretty decent position most weeks. So, yeah, someone who I can see in the next couple of weeks probably sneaking into the side. All right, next game, Richmond Geelong. How about Georgia Prasparkas, the week I drop her? She goes bang,
Yeah,
140.
she was very, very good.
Yeah, she's starting to
Oh,
look. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
you skip. Yeah, for me actually, this is the tough call for me is in this game as my
Okay.
last midfielder spot, Conti versus Prasparkas. That's what I'm tossing up this week. I think
Mhm.
that's a big question for me. I think I've currently got Conti in there because she's just been consistently 120 plus every week. Like
Yeah,
she's been
130
very, very
plus.
yeah,
So,
130. Like her
oh well.
scores here, so she's gone 130, 123, 139, 137. So just consistently good. And then George Prasparkas really, you take out that one poor score that she had where she got the tag, where she scored 93. She's gone 117, 125, 140. So
Mhm.
I've got Conti just because I think Conti does hit all the stat lines this year. She always gets the mark. She gets a touch, but she's actually tackling this year. Whereas Georgie doesn't really get those marks. She gets a tackle, she gets a touch, she kicks a couple of goals. But yeah, it's a tough call. Are you leaning sort of one way or the other between these two?
Yeah, I think I'm sticking with Conti this week, just because of the consistency and like the time on ground is crazy, and it's just it's good. I
Yeah,
don't know what else to say. She's been
yeah, I like that. It's
solid.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't got a reason to drop her, so I'm keeping her.
yeah,
Chris Marcus has been a bit more inconsistent, so if I had one more spot, she'd definitely be in there. But for now, she's gone.
yeah. And I'm the same as well. If I had one more spot, she'd be in the side. Ash Maloney, I've been fairly keen on most of the year. She put another good score last week. I'm backing her in.
Yep.
It's a good matchup against Richmond here. I think Geelong will win this. So I think she'll be heavily involved. So she's the other
Yeah.
one from this game that I've got. I think, though, this is one of those games where there's not too much fantasy relevance. Like you're looking at probably a couple of the
Mm.
mids and probably Maloney, but anyone else that you're looking at, I know that like Geelong, good matchup for Rucks, but probably not
Yeah.
trusting probably
No,
Kelly over any of those other options.
that's what I. Yeah, I was trying to put her in there as a bit of bait, but I don't think he can necessarily start her. It would be a very risky pod, which might pay off, but I don't think like you've only got two rucks and there's two decent rucks, so you don't really need a pod in your ruck if you can.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Like when you're looking at Geelong next week, they got Port Adelaide. So we will be talking about Matilda Schultz next week, and we probably will be starting her if she goes well
mhm.
again this week. So that's something there. But yeah, not this week, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's a bit of a not that interesting one for the fantasy or the game day squad side of things. Let's just say. We'll jump up to the next one, which I already shared the slide a little bit early, but Essendon St Kilda. How good is Nate going? I know we already
Oh,
touched on that, but
she's great. She's in the side. She's the reason why I'm having this tough decision between Conti and Prasparkas because Nanscorn's forced away. And so if it wasn't for Jean Nanscorn being in there, I would have had Prasparkas and Conti to be fine. But Nanscorn's forced my hand. So she's in there. Serene Watson's back in the lineup. She was great last week and was back to that real sort of main distributor role. I think Ella Friend is out with concussion as well this week. So those couple of kick-ins that she was taking will go to Serene Watson. She takes all the kick-ins. It's what we want, right? It's a great role. Essence,
yeah,
good matchup. I think that she'll go well.
now
And Izzy,
probably.
this
Oh
is
yeah, sorry.
Izzy. This is a good it's a good comment, right? Midfield's going to be tough to pick this week. So many great options, and every week this happens. And we're going to be chatting about one of the games shortly. But there's a big star that looking like they'll be back this week, which is going to throw even more spanners into our midfield. So no,
Mhm.
Izzy, you raise a very very good point. I think that the big thing I want to ask you about this, Mark, here is that there's two key forwards who I'm keen on. So Bonnie Toogood's back,
Yeah.
which is good for us fantasy coaches that we can look at her, bringing her back in again. But someone I'm really keen on this week is Jessie Wardlaw. With all of the injuries that Essendon have got into their defence, she's
Hmm.
currently sitting in my lineup for the first time this season. What are your
Yep.
thoughts on Jessie Wardlaw? Because you flagged her a couple weeks ago, I think it was against West Coast,
Yeah.
as an option. She had a good score.
Yep.
I think this is a great matchup for her. What are your thoughts on her?
I think it's a great matchup, but I don't have her currently. Well, she might be in one of my kind of not throwaway squads, but those ones where you kind of put all your good cards in that you haven't played yet. But I think for me, I'm actually quite happy with my forward line that I've picked this week, which is I think the first time all season. So we'll get to it later, but and that's probably famous last words. But Too Good, I'm actually a little bit a bit more worried about than probably you might be. I don't know. Just with she makes a lot of points, kind of working her way up the ground, but because I think
Yeah,
what's her name?
Dari Bannister's out. Brooke Walker
Yeah,
was playing a bit forward. She's out for the season. Yeah, that's a flag. That's something I'm worried about. I still think that if Bonnie Toogood's not getting the ball, they're not going to just. And I understand that she'll be a bit more deep forward than normal, but I can't see them for all 4 quarters. If she's not touching the ball, she's just going to be part of the full forward. She's going to get. She will. I think she'll still get up the ground at times, maybe just not as much as what she was. But then
yeah,
again, with all these forwards out, maybe more targets get funneled through her. So that's
yeah, that's
something
true.
I'm probably not starting her this week. I'd probably want to see how it goes first, but she's someone that's still going to be in your radar. And maybe if people forgot she was suspended, that she's back and someone to be looking at
Yeah,
week to week.
yeah. No, it could almost be a bit of a pod, even though she's probably one of the top forwards in the game. Um, Anyone else from that game? Let's have a look. Steph Wales, what did you think?
Uh, good first game. And if she'd played a couple of weeks before this, I would have seriously looked at it this week because of the matchup against Beckott, which
Mhm.
is good there. But yeah, I just think being the second game back, they're still going to be managing her through. I'm probably just still watching at the moment.
Yeah.
So probably not. But I think that's probably it from the other games. There is a pod from this game that I'll chat about when we get to that as well.
Okay.
Besides that, yeah, I think it's just Wardlaw v Zanker for me in my forward line. I've currently got Wardlaw, but they're the two that I'm looking at.
Yeah. No. Very nice. All right. Coming into the last few games, this is the one that I think you're very keen to talk about: Brisbane versus North Melbourne.
Yeah,
Do you want to just jump straight
Jazz
into it? Yeah.
Jazz Garner looks like she'll be back. She's listed as a test. I think that if Jazz Garner is right to play, Jazz Garner will play. That's as simple as that. She's very important to North Melbourne. I know they still dominated Collingwood last week, but this is Brisbane's big matchup.
Hmm.
And if she starts, I just can't leave her out. Just the risk of her putting up a big. She's the sort of player that will come back and will put up a massive score first week back, right? She
Yeah.
does it all. Are you the same? If she plays, you just start her. Simple as that.
Yeah, I am. But then I'm looking at the games after her and seeing if she doesn't play or if she's laid out, who do I bring in? So looking
Yeah,
at those
because
last,
this is the in terms of fixtures. This is the second to last game. I think you've got. I think there's enough. Like you've got
you're looking at Bowers or
Bowers and
probably
Ella Roberts.
Roberts.
They're the two
Yeah.
main ones. I think they're great options to plug in. Even worst case, Ash McCarthy as an option you could play
Yeah.
for a week. I think they're the ones you're looking at. I wouldn't trust Ali Anderson or anything like that in this game.
No.
She still isn't getting it done, but yeah, I just think Jazz Garner I think she's named she'll play. I don't see a laid out being there, but no, it's a good point
Mhm.
though. Good point. You got to sort of be prepared for anything. Um,
Yep.
Ash Riddell, lock. Emma Carney,
Yeah.
lock. Like,
Yep. Yep.
there's a lot of like. This is probably one where I don't know. I'm interested to get your thoughts. You've played Alistair Lachlan a bit more than me this year. I'm probably fading in this matchup. Just
Yeah.
it's a bit of a
I
trickier one, but yeah,
Same.
your
Yep.
thoughts?
Yeah, I'm fading her as well. Her high score is 85 this season, which is, decent score, but if that's your highest output for the year in a side that's absolutely dominating as a forward, then I think I'm going to start looking elsewhere. Um, there's a couple of other forwards as well for North, Craven and Bogey or Bogue as well.
Yeah, I think that because Craven's playing on a wing and Bogue's playing obviously forward, I think Bogue's actually cut in a bit to Alistair Laughlin's output, to be honest. I think Alistair Laughlin, they were her goals last year, whereas Bogue's kicking a few goals this year and taking away from Alistair Laughlin. So that's my understanding. I probably wouldn't play any of those. Maybe if you've got a platinum or something of one of them, you want to stick him in champion, you could. I just think the
Yep.
Brisbane matchup's quite tough. Brisbane,
Mhm.
Ellinger, Conan. This could actually, like, on paper, you're looking North Melbourne, not very good. But the ball's probably going to be in. I know Brisbane will get their chances right, but it'll still be in their defense a lot. Could this be a game where Conan or Ellinger play well? And does Conan play a bit of a tagging role on a Garner or a Riddell?
Yeah. That's kind of where my head's at as well. is that a good thing or a bad thing though if they play the tag and roll on them, because they're potentially going to be
Yeah, it's.
around, but those guys are probably too good to actually have an impact on, like, for your positive scoring as a tagger.
I think if I'm playing one, it's Conan between them, just
Yep.
because I think Ellinger, this will be a game where I think she might be a little bit more quiet, but we know she's got a ceiling that she can score well in any game.
Hmm.
I was at that game and she was invisible in the first half. Didn't notice her at all. I think she was on maybe 22, 23 points. Game they scored at half time. And then she ended up having like a 45, 50 point third quarter and got to a solid score in the end. She just finds a way most weeks. I guess that just worries me a bit that she can do that.
Hmm. Yeah. No, there's a few defenders who are like that for me, which I'm a little bit nervous about.
And if she took the kick-ins, Brie Conan, it'd be fine. I'd be like, yep, that floor's there. But she doesn't really, like Shannon Campbell takes a lot of the kick-ins. There's other players, like I think Ellen's just taken a couple. But like you look at the defenders that what we've got, T. Lucas Rod, Emma Carney, Serene Watson, Charlie
Mhm.
Thomas, like they all
Yep.
take the kick-ins. And then you look at Neve
Mhm.
McLaughlin, Georgia Stathis, they're playing midfield. Right.
Yep.
Conan's probably one where she's not playing midfield a lot. She's playing a little bit, but then she's not got the kick in. So it's like that in between role that
Yeah.
safety's not. Even Shelley Heath is playing midfield as well. So like,
Exactly. And when Conan's in the midfield, she's not necessarily doing the midfield roles that get you the points either.
yeah,
So yeah, I think I'm probably fading. I've had her, I think every round so
I'm the
far, but
same. Yep, I'm the
yeah,
same. And I'm
I think
probably
she
fading
might
as
be
well
out.
this week.
Yeah. Yep. No, sounds good. One other one for North, Libby Birch down back. Had some
She's been
pretty
so, very
decent
good.
scores. Yeah. Went 101 last week.
The only flag for me with these North defenders is they seem to get a lot of their points late in the game when the game's done and they chip it around a bit. That's where
Hmm.
Libby Birch gets these points, and this is a tough matchup. So I think this is a game where Libby Birch actually puts up she might have a good game, but she might have a lower fantasy score. So I'm probably just not. I'm not going to look at her this week.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right. Second last game of the round is Hawthorn and Adelaide. Now, we've talked a bit on Lucy Wales. So she's gone 80, 118, 108, 87. So they're like all right scores, but I think she's definitely dropped behind Morford now. I think she's
Yeah,
down to 3, possibly sitting in that 4-5 position as well, depending on the matchup. Which is kind of why my thoughts on the ruck kind of situation isn't super clear, because, well, I guess now that I think about this, the ruck situation is clear because it's just Morford and Strom. So I've
yeah,
just talked myself around there.
yeah.
Um, what about so yeah, Wales, someone we generally consider. Lucas Rod's a lock. They've gone 103, 114, 116, 98. They're like,
Yeah, they're lock every week. Noffy's a
yep,
lot.
yep,
Tough matchup for Caitlin Gould. Probably someone I'm not playing this week, which is I think the first time this year I'm not playing Caitlin Gould.
yep.
Not looking there. Chelsea
What
Randall
about
was great.
Randall? Yeah.
Yeah, she was great, and this is a sort of game again. I think it was Jono on free kick was saying about how it seems like Chelsea Randall plays better in the tougher games, and this is certainly a tougher game again for Crows. So
Mhm.
I could see Randall putting up another good score. It's just the volatility that I don't like as much. The fact that she scored a 22 2 weeks ago, and
In a
I had her
game,
in
yeah.
my I had her in my squad for that week, and then she drops
And
the
that
ton.
wasn't affected by anything. That was a full
Yeah,
game. Yep.
and then I dropped her last week, and she scores a ton. Don't get me wrong, love Chelsea Randall. One of my favourite Crows players, right? She just signed a contract for 2 years again this year. So I think she'll be 37 when that contract. So longevity is fantastic. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, probably this week I'm still nervous. If she was a forward, I'd be more willing to take the punt. But as a
Mhm.
defender, when we've got some really good defender options, probably not looking there. I think Anne Hatchard for me, I think I've almost put a line through her probably for the rest of the year. Like she's
Yeah.
so up and down. The role's not good because she's playing a bit deep forward as well. She's not tackling as much. She's not getting a lot of marks around the ground.
Mhm.
She's handballing way too much. I don't know. It's not the same Anne Hatcher we've seen in previous years dominating.
Yeah. I think she's
Which
got 2 All-Australian cards or All-Star cards, sorry,
yeah,
which
and
is
I thought these
yeah.
rule changes were going to suit her. I thought that the open transition was going to suit her because she can run all day. She gets these marks. Whereas either she's hasn't quite either adapted to the rules or the role is just different. Which I think is more the role. I think the role is
Yeah.
the big thing that's hampering her at the moment. So I'm probably
Yeah,
not
because we're
starting her
talking her up
anytime
last
soon.
week after I think she went 126 2 week
Yeah,
the round before, and we're like, "Oh, yeah, this might be suiting her. She's an option."
and
And then
I
hopefully no one took that advice because then she went 58.
I do say that, but she's got Gold Coast next week, so there is a chance of playing next week. But I need to see something this week. So this is probably the audition to see if I play her next week. Is if she can put up a good score here. That's
Yeah.
probably where I'll be looking at her.
So what would you say you need from her to
Oh,
actually lock her in? Like a
I'd love to see a
130?
ton. I'd love to see a ton at least.
Yeah.
It's probably 100 plus, and she'll be in the conversation. If it's like a sub 80, then probably not.
Yeah, no. I think if it's sub 80, the line's going through it for me as well. The one thing I know we've already talked about Lucy Wales, but that matchup against Adelaide for the Rucks is just horrible.
It's the hardest ruck matchup in the competition, I reckon. So yeah, you're
Yeah.
not starting anyone against Jess Allen unless it's Mim Strong, probably.
Yeah, no, exactly right. So we'll jump into the last game, and if you do want to get in the draw for the wheel, make sure you get in the comments now.
Look at
And
the
we've already got a
green.
comment. We've got a comment about this game already. Can we trust Roberts?
I think you can. Look at the matchup. Green for mids, green for forwards. So if she rests forward, green, mids, green. If she was to ruck, it's green. So yeah, it's Freo giving up plenty of points at the moment. I think you can definitely trust Ella Roberts this week, and she's someone to definitely be looking at.
Yeah,
Again, she's been
I
someone that I started last week. I probably should have not started last week and started this week. So she's someone I'm definitely considering.
Yeah, I was burnt by her last week in a couple of my sides. And the thing was, I think she still played a good game. She just, it was like 24 touches, but
She had
20
like 20
handballs.
handballs, yeah.
Yeah. So it was one of those games where she had a good game. She impacted the game, but it just didn't translate into game day score points, which is, sometimes what happens. The one thing which don't take any notice of this, but she's gone big score 140, low score 95, big score 141, low score 76. So does that mean
Big
she's
scores
on for
coming
a
this
big
week?
140? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
that. Other than her, there's one other pod in there which I've actually got up on the screen already. Is Rowley from West Coast. I don't know if you saw any of the stats from her last week.
Oh, she was very, very good. Played midfield,
Yeah.
which was impressive to see. I just think as a mid, she had a good game, but we're not starting her. Props to her. She's very, very good game. But I'm not looking at that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm tempted by her just because I don't know if you saw the CBAs for West Coast, but she's gone like 20%, 20%, 20%, and then she went 90%. More than anyone else in West Coast by a long way, and she scored 135. So that's pretty tempting for me.
I think Rowley's a good option in other fantasy platforms. Probably not. I think GameDay. I think it's more of a salary cap one. Probably not the GameDay squad one. But she was great. She was everywhere and very, very impressed. So if you want to go real potty, if you've just started on GameDay squad and you've got a Courtney Rowley card in there, why not? Why not play her if you're limited with options?
Yeah, we've got another question from this game. Does Emma Swanson bounce back after last week's poor score?
Oh, geez, that was poor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean, good player, so probably,
yeah,
but
she'll bounce back. But she was probably one of those players that wasn't a lock week to week in defence, and she's under a blanket of probably 10 defenders. So don't currently have her in my side this way. I think again I've got her in Challenger, but not in my main squad. So I think this week I'm not starting her, but she'll bounce back. She's one of the leaders there,
Yeah.
so I think she will bounce back.
Yeah, she's one of those ones where I think for me, her and Charlotte Thomas were basically fighting for a single spot in my side. And
Yeah, and you
every
give it to
week,
Charlie Thomas. You give it to
yeah,
Charlie Thomas with the kick outs and everything like that. So she's still in my squad as well. But what about Kiara Bowers? She was on, I think, 60 points at quarter time in game day squad, and she got like a 115, 120 type score, which is decent
yeah.
enough.
I think she went 129. So
yeah, sorry, 129. Yeah, I was probably a little bit under there. So 129, it's a good score, right? But
yeah,
I guess that massive first quarter, but then not as much after that. Is that a
mm-hmm.
worry that she's having good? But then again, right? She loves playing West Coast. She's won how many of the Derby medals before she was away with pregnancy? Is there a temptation there to start her, or?
I think if you don't have the other kind of cards in the salary cap you're looking for, then definitely an option. But I think it's been a theme. There's so many good midfield options this round that she probably just sits just outside for me if you can pick from anyone. But in saying that, definitely a startable player. Definitely, probably will be in the one of the top scorers for the round. So I would have no issue starting her if I had to. But for me, there's people ahead of her.
Yeah, I love that. Definitely, probably. That's what you said.
Yeah.
There. I like
And Strom, talked about her a bit.
Yeah, lock, put salary cap on, all that stuff. She had tough matchups to begin the year, and she was pretty good. The last week was the first solid matchup. It wasn't too difficult, and she went big. So I think this is all aboard Mimstrom. And again, like people, I think on free kick, I think they were talking about how they were saying how the rucks have adjusted quite quickly to these rule changes. Like a lot of the rucks are actually scoring well. Like week one was lower, but week from there it's been good. And I think Mimstrom is one of those rucks that's done that, and she's just going to continue to go from strength to strength. So she's obviously, as you said, lock R1 every week, but I think she's at the point where you put salary cap on her as well. Like you treat her like a premium midfielder, like the Riddells and Gardners and Marinos and all that.
Yeah, she's one that I'm like putting my all-star cards into because I think she'll sit with those kind of high midfielder scores for the rest of the season. So easy, don't have to think about it too much. She's going to start every week, so I may as well just leave it there. Yeah, but they're basically the only two from Freo that I'll be considering now. Maybe McCarthy, but just sits behind Bowers at this point still. So, yeah. Anyone else from that game?
I don't think so. I think we can get into our pods, I reckon.
Yeah, very good. Now, I will let you know I did these pods on, I think, Sunday night or Monday. So I can't actually remember some of these. So we'll see how we go. But I'm curious to see how they compare to yours. See. All right. First one, Rowley. Talked about it a bit. I don't mind it. I think there's a potential there for a decent score. The only problem is it'll be taking up one of your midfielder slots. Next is Randall, who I don't know if that's technically a pod, but
I think it probably is just because being up and down. I think it probably is, and you can definitely go there.
Yeah, I like this matchup for them. The next one is this the one that you were talking about as well?
No.
Oh, interesting.
So we got different defenders, but no, I think Paxman, talk to me because I think that they could be a good option.
Yeah, they've gone pretty. I've got the scores here somewhere. What have they gone? 69, so a bit of a slower start, but then since then they've gone 94, 95, 84. So that's like that's a decent floor for me. And then the matchup against Port for defenders, I think, looked all right. And they're kind of playing a bit all over the ground. Like they just pop up everywhere when you're watching them play. So I don't mind it.
Well, if Paxi could have a good last quarter, they'd be putting up tons every week because they're normally on 75 to 85 points at three-quarter time, maybe a bit more, but then they normally get rested in that last quarter, which is the only worry, right? If they're up by a little bit against Port, there could be a bit of management towards the end of the game. So that's my only worry. But if they play most of the game, I think they could be a good option.
Yep. Next, Harrington versus Gold Coast. I like the Gold Coast ruck matchup. Last week I had O'Dowd as one of my pods who went, I think, 100, close to 100, when they've not gone above 60 or something previously. So I think the Gold Coast matchup is nice. I don't know if it takes you above your average or it just kind of brings you up to that 100 point, though, is my only question. So giving Harrington's already at that kind of 100 point ceiling at the moment, I'm not sure if that's going to take them up to that one kind of 30 score or if it's just going to keep them there, but the points are there easily for them to score. Last one is Dupai, I think I spelled that wrong, versus Carlton as well. I can see, like, I watched the Gold Coast game last week and she just looked dominant in that forward line. Like, contested marks, everything was going to them. Don't know how much that was GWS's influence as opposed to her, but I don't mind it. I don't have your pods here, but do you want to run through them?
Yep. So, I probably should send these to you so you can put them up as the graphics.
No, I don't want to know. I like doing it this way.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm happy to keep doing it like this. So, these aren't in order of sort of like 1 to 5, but these are the 5 I've got. So, I've got a couple of Carlton players here. So, I've got Keely Shearer as a pod for me against Gold Coast. Great matchup. I know that Giants didn't do great last week, but Carlton are a better side. I think they'll go quite well here. And I think that they had Abby Mackay could be out, I think, this week. I think she was injured, so I think she's actually going to be out. So that's more time in the midfield for a Keely Shearer. And if you're going to go real pod, you could see Maddie Gearin make her way back in the side. But I'm not advocating at all for playing Maddie Gearin in GameDay squad this week. Just I want to see it first. But Keely Shearer is someone I'm looking at. And Tara Bahana, if you're looking for a forward that's got a good matchup, I think Tara Bahana is that one that you could look at in the Carlton forward line. Could kick a bit of a bag here and put up a good score. I've got Jackie Parry there against Richmond. We're talking about Ash Maloney being a good option, but Jackie Parry had a good game last week. I believe she turned up, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going to go to Parry's score here. So Jackie Parry against Essendon. So she had 120 points, 19 disposals, 8 marks, and 3 goals. So if there's a matchup she's going to be replicating that, it's that one. The Melbourne defender I did have that I thought we were going to clash on, but thankfully we didn't, because I'm actually glad we can talk about a different player as well here. Maeve Chaplin is the option that I was looking at. So I think she began the year first. Don't think she played the first week. I know she did, but she's come back from, I think, a pre-season injury. Scored 44 and 61, but last 2 weeks has gone 127 and 99. Takes bulk kick-ins. I think she could be someone that you look at. So someone for sure, because we know Port do like to miss a few goals and kick a few behind. So it could be a few kick-ins there for Maeve Chaplin. And I thought I'd put this midfielder in here just for a bit of a shout-out, because she's been very solid to begin the year. Again, I'm not sure I could start her just being as a midfielder, but Tiana Smith is the other one against Essendon. So it's a good matchup here. But she's been very, very good, averaging 110.5 this year, 109, 107, 92, and 134 last week. So season high score. She could be someone you maybe have a bit of a punt on. She's just been great. So probably more of a shout out one, but good matchup though, at least. So you could take that there. But they're my pods this week. So some real potty options there, but they're my 5.
No, that's good. They're those players that maybe if you've kind of used up all your good cards in your main comps that you're focusing on, chuck them in your contender or your whatever that you're not committed
100%.
to. And then you have an upset win. That's what happens.
Exactly.
All right. So jump across now to our lineups. And then after that, we'll spin the wheel. So this is me. I think that's me. Yeah, that's me. I've got Moody in there, but that's an old screenshot. I now have Morford in there.
Yeah. I'm just looking at, so what have we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we got one different defender. So only the one. Midfield, I think we got one difference as well. Rucks we got obviously the same now with you having Morphet, and forward line, then we got one difference as well. So our team's very similar this week.
Yeah. So back line, I guess it's Randall that's the different one for you, hey?
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is weird. Me not having a Crows pod over me is not the norm.
Yeah. I just like that, big score last week, and then I like the matchup, so pretty comfortable with that one. Watson's made their way back in. Keeney's just there now, basically.
Yeah.
And the midfield, I currently don't have Garner in, and I'm trying to work out who doesn't play.
It's a tough one to leave
Conte.
out any of those there. So
probably Conte, but I'm not too phased about starting Conte over Garner first week back. So even if she's named and there at the bounce, potentially not going to play her just for a week.
Yep. That's fair. Yep. First week back from injury, you certainly don't have to play.
Yeah. And then up front, I've got Barnett and I have Sanka. So they're probably two, maybe points of difference that other people might be kind of tossing around. We'll jump to yours because I think that, like you said, they're relatively similar.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, can't read any of the names. I'll run back and just run through my names if you like, because I think it must be a bit too small. So I've got Tilly, Lucas Rog, Kearney, Georgia Sathis, McLaughlin, Watson, Heath, and Randall down back. Riddell, Gardner, Hoare, Conti, Marinoff, and Nance Scowen. Yeah, Nance Scowen. I've got Mimstrom, and I will have Morfitt, and then I got Malloy, Ham, Goldsworthy, Saint / Woodland, Barnett, Maloney, and Zanka. So not too many, I guess, controversial picks, but some pretty, not controversial picks, but there's so many options this week that it won't be a common squad, I don't think.
Yeah.
Jump to you.
And then I've just put my starter one just because I'm still working through salaries and stuff for the other one. But so defense is the same. So got two Lucas Rod, Emma Carney, Georgia Stathis, McLaughlin, Watson, and Heath all there. I've just got Charlie Thomas in there over Chelsea Randall. So that's the only difference in defense between us. Midfield, so Riddell, Gardner, Nanscorn, Marinoff, Conti, we've got the same, but I've got Garner over Hoare. I feel like I can't go without Garner if she plays. So if Garner's not named, though, then that makes this easy. I'll just put in Georgie Brasparkas probably in there, or a Kate Hoare instead, or Tyler Hanks. Mim Shaw, Ali Morph, obviously the same rucks there. Then forward line, Malloy, Ham, Goldsworthy, Woodland, Maloney, and I've got Barnett into the Zanker at the moment. So that's the one that I did change after I sent you this screenshot. And I've got Wardlaw. So Wardlaw and Zanker is the one I'm tossing up between the two. Like I've got Zanker in other fantasy formats, so part of me just wants to go. So I just have the one player to focus on across all of them. But I do like the Wardlaw matchup this week, so I'm tempted to just play her in game day squad and maybe just not have Zanker there for a week. But it's really that F7 spot and then that M6 spot are the two I'm tossing up at the moment there. But most of it's set there. We still got a couple of days, right? It's Wednesday night. We've got Saturday. Exactly right. Still got a few days. Got teams to come as well.
Yeah, no, exactly right.
Now spin the wheel.
Yeah, we'll jump over to what everyone's here for.
No one cares about any of the information we give throughout the whole pod. Our squads, they don't care. They're like, we're here for spin the wheel.
Exactly. They've got us on mute in the background till the wheel comes up.
Like Grant Fitzgerald putting in there, like spin the wheel, the comment there as well. The first comment on the stream that he made, he said spin the wheel, so it's quite funny. I think he was asking about Torpy there, but I think that was another format question. So Grant, we'll answer that question for you in our other live show later on the week, but let's spin the wheel.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds. Just noticed that Grant wasn't on the wheel, so we'll get him on there. But all right, I'll share my screen, get the wheel up. All right. I've just been informed that Grant might have been after cutoff, but because of the enthusiasm will get them in. All right. Let's see.
Oh, congrats. I was wondering when the sound effects. I like hearing the sound effect of the wheel going around, but I couldn't hear it until like it was nearly finished. But no, we got there. But George, see what you've got.
Alrighty. So there's still some very good options on the wheel here.
I just wish I could be part of the spin that we'll be able to put my name in some prizes I'd like to win here.
Maybe just log in as a second account and just sneak into the comments. So we do have still a few diamonds and all-stars on the board, as well as some packs. So we've got up to a 9-player unique pack if you're that lucky. We also have
All-star Strom.
Yeah. There's a 1-month StatLab subscription, which is, if you haven't seen it yet, that's a very good service, which I think a lot of the people in the top of the leaderboard are using. So even if you don't win, jump over. There's a lot of free content over there. But we'll spin the wheel, put you out of your misery. Spinning. Yeah, there we go. This is interesting. May or may not be useful this week. So
I think she'll be useful this week. I think she'll be back. So George might be able to play Garner straight away.
Beautiful. All right. Well, that about does us for the. Well, that does do us for the show. Any shout outs you want to do before we cut off?
Just if you haven't signed up to GameDay Squad, as always, make sure you use the code BalesDT at sign up and get involved with GameDay Squad. It's free to play, and there's plenty of competition, not just AFLW, but you've got obviously the finals of both AFL, NRL. We got the NBL starting, I think, in just under 3 weeks as well. So that's coming around the corner. You had the Big Bash in the summer, that's coming fairly quickly as well. EPL's back this week after international break. Thank goodness. I hate these international breaks. I just don't think there should be any international breaks at all. But yeah, make sure you use code BalesD10. You can get some free packs just by using the code at sign up there, and you'll see your starter packs when you sign up for all the sports. So yeah, make sure you get involved. Free to play, GameDaySquad.com.au, and make sure you sign up. And you can find me at BalesDT and us at AFL Fantasy Fans on X. So make sure you go and follow across the socials and wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, beautiful. And for me, over at thegamedaysociety.com, we're putting out regular EPL content at the moment, but we're getting some AFLW content out too.
Loving the graphics on Instagram as well with the posts and stuff of that. So if anyone's following around there's some good content there.
Yeah, so the Game Day Society, I think it is on Instagram. I should put it up on the screen next time. And on X, the GD Society. But basically just search the Game Day Society and I'm sure you'll find us. But yeah, that about wraps us up. So thank you very much, Bales, once again. Best of luck. Hopefully you can, not do better than me, but you can. I'm loving this competition that we've got at the top of the classic board.
Oh, my first focus is Friday night. Adelaide Hawthorn. Crowies get it done. Don't it's funny, right? And you know this, and everyone watching along at home as well knows this. Your sporting team, if they play early in the weekend, it really dictates how the rest of your weekend's going to go, and then probably how the start of your week's going to go, because you're going to work on a Monday, you say, oh, we won or whatever, or if they lost, you're down the dumps. And that was me on Monday, down the dumps at work. And I thought I missed out on tickets, but thankfully we got tickets for Friday. So hopefully Crows can get it done, start off well. Going to AFLW on the weekend. Hopefully, have some good points for Game Day Squad there, and hopefully have a good weekend. Hopefully, you guys have a good weekend as well. Except if you're a Hawthorn fan. Sorry, I hope the Crows win.
Well, I mean, you say that the games dictate your week, but I go for St Kilda, so it's basically I know what's going to happen,
mate. You to be honest, you've probably had the best trade period of anyone. Yeah, no, it hasn't started right, but you've got some players already. But
just buying the league. Yeah. Excellent. Anyway, we'll leave it there. And yeah, best of luck to everyone.